I want you to know I'm not mad at you. I hold no anger or resentment in my heart for you or for what you did. Whatever the reason, whatever your feelings, I'm grateful. Maybe you wanted to keep me, but you just couldn't. Or maybe you just didn't want to be a mother. Either way, you made the right decision. You gave me life, and the life that I had was wonderful. You obviously had no way of knowing where I'd end up or with whom, but you knew that my life would be better off with someone else. Maybe you felt that your life would be better too, and I hope that it has been. I hope you've had just as wonderful of a life as I've had. I hope that you've thought of me, wondered about how my life turned out, wondered who I was and who I am. I hope. As a mother now myself, I can't imagine that you don't want to know, even if knowing is the most difficult thing that could ever happen to your heart. I want you to know. My life has been great. My mom and dad are amazing. My mom is incredibly caring, compassionate, and creative. My dad is hilarious and absolutely brilliant. They're both hard workers and wonderful people, and being their daughter has been a blessing. I've known since day one that I was adopted. I don't think there was ever a time that my parents told me. It was just always something I knew. I knew, and I loved it. I loved having that one little thing that made me different. I even bragged about it. I told anyone who would listen. I always thought that it was cool, and I still do. I always found it funny when people would comment about how much I looked like my Nana. I did. We had the same little pug nose. We'd be out in public, and someone would say, "Oh, Lois, she's definitely your granddaughter. She looks just like you." And we'd give each other a little smile and thank them. She always told me it was best just to let them think that rather than to embarrass them. But sometimes we thought it was kind of fun to embarrass people. People now tell me how much my daughter looks like my mom. As an adult, I've been told about what your reasons may have been. But as a child, I always just made them up. I had this romanticized idea of the situation. You were famous, he was famous. Maybe it was a Romeo and Juliet thing. Two lovers who just couldn't be together. Their families wouldn't allow it. I searched for years for all the celebrities I could find who gave up children for adoption. I thought that most likely you were Joni Mitchell, and you'd written Little Green about me, completely ignoring the fact that the song was written more than 10 years before my birth. At one point, I had my youngest cousins convinced that I was some kind of extraterrestrial being, that you were the moon and my father was the sun. I had and still have a pretty vivid imagination. I want you to know, my life was filled with adventures. There were trips to the Cape, Walt Disney World, many visits to the zoo and the museum. I rode my bike, I swam, I even tried gymnastics once. I was a really good kid. I never got in trouble, I got good grades, I was teacher's pet, I went to church, I volunteered, I was a Girl Scout. I've always loved learning. I love to read and research. I love history and science and art and music. I've always hated math. I went to art school and I studied graphic design and photography, and I've always wondered what your passions were. Did you love the arts, or maybe you have a head for numbers? Maybe it's a bit of both. I worked in advertising, marketing, retail, and even in a flower shop, but all those jobs were just ways for me to kill time before motherhood took over. Being a mom is the only thing I've ever really wanted to be. Avery is 2. Avery is 3. And full of moxie and joy. The girl is cute, funny, smart, and often absolutely exhausting. And I love every cell of her being. I know that being her mom is exactly what I was meant to be. And she's allergic to tomatoes and strawberries, just like you. That was the only health history you gave the adoption agency, other than paternal grandfather, cancer. My husband is also amazing. He's a great man, an incredible father, a hard worker, and a blessing to our entire family. I want you to know. I'm passionate, some might say intense, but I'm also sensitive and I worry a lot. I care about what other people think of me, even though I always say that I don't. I want everyone to like me, and when someone doesn't, I lose sleep over it. I love Disney and cupcakes and the Boston Red Sox. But most importantly, and above all else, I love my family and my friends. And I want you to know, I love you too. I love you for what you did, for giving me life, and for making the right choice. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. But I want to know where I came from, who you were, and who you are. You made a choice, a good and wonderful choice, but I did not. I didn't have a say in how all of this turned out. Nobody asked me what I wanted, and now I want to know. I want to have a say now, to choose what happens next. You have a right to your privacy, but I have a right to my history, and I want to know.